Hi, yeah, this is a little unusual for me, but yeah, so the audio in this episode is a little different than normal. I don't know what's wrong with my laptop. I addressed it at the very beginning. Um, but yeah, it was really low when I was done. I had to like boost it a lot, and it was only recording in the left channel, and I had to like play around with it to get it in both, and I'm gonna have to do that with this. So, in fact, it was so low, I actually had to put. Usually at the end of my theme, I cross. It overlaps with me saying "Hello, welcome to the Digressor." Yeah, I actually had to go ahead and put me talking at the very end of the theme, so you actually hear it cut off. You never hear it cut off because I'm talking. Um, it doesn't fade all the way; it just cuts off. You never notice. But yeah. I don't know what's wrong with it, but now I know there is a workaround. Uh, Hopefully this doesn't last too long. Anyway, here's the show. Hello, welcome back to the Digressor. Uh, okay, so, uh, if you see my Twitter, you probably see that I said I'm not going to do an episode tonight. I'm still not entirely sure because, well, what happened is I went to record earlier and it wasn't recording. The mic is on, it's turned up, and yeah, I tried two different microphones and three different recording programs, and so I tried my headset microphone and my professional microphone, and I tried Audio Director, which is my usual program. I tried Audacity, and then I tried the built-in voice recorder that's in Windows 10, and it wasn't recording anything. And now it it's picking something up. When I go to record, I play it back, I hear something. What's freaking me out though is there's no movement on the thing. Like usually when I talk, it's like I could see like the waves of my talking. It's just a flat line. So that's a little concerning. So for the time being, I'm going to talk as if I'm going to upload this, knowing that there's a chance that no one's going to hear this. Anyway, so this episode is kind of a long time coming. So I meant to do a trilogy of episodes at the beginning of the year, earlier this year, and I never got around to doing a part 2. So actually, before I begin, I want to see when part 1 was, just to kind of get an idea how long it's been since I started this thing. Okay. While I'm going there, I want to say that, I already there. March 6th, episode 31, MCU Phase 1. So, yeah, that means that this is MCU Phase 2, which you already knew. Why did I make that into, like, some sort of, like, plot twist? If you're listening to this, you saw the episode title. Yeah. Anyway, so last Sunday, I was gonna do this episode last Sunday because September 26th, which was last Sunday, was the 1-year birthday of the podcast. Because I did technically, because I did the introduction episode 26th of September. And I remember I did the introduction in the first episode, which was Super Mario It was about the Super Mario 3D All Stars. It was the first episode, and I did them one after the other. But because I did it so close to midnight, the introduction is on the 26th, and the first episode is on the 27th. So technically, the 27th was the anniversary. But since introduction is the first upload, so I go with that. But it could go either way. I don't know. I had my original idea was, now that I have Twitter Space, I can finally use that. As in, I can host now. I can start a Spaces, and I was going to do because you can Pixie. She's like my Twitter mentor. She's been helping me figure out what to do with all that and how to use Spaces. And what I was going to do, she told me that sometimes for her podcast, which is Next on Stage 1, that they record on their Spaces, and then you just download you request your Twitter info, your data, and then download it, and the audio file will be there. And so for my original idea was, I was going to have Pixie and a couple other my favorite podcasters. We're going to do like a Spaces, just talking about whatever, and then I was going to have that be my 1-year anniversary post. But then I couldn't get everyone together because no one's schedules matched up, so that didn't happen. And then I was going to do a Spaces with one of my best friends, and he doesn't even have Twitter. He doesn't know how to use it. I told him, hey, you can use mine. I can let you use one of my side accounts. And he's like, I wouldn't know how to do that. And so we're going to I still want to do an episode with him. So we're going to figure something out. It might not be through Spaces. It'll be something else. But that obviously didn't work out. So I was going to do this episode, and was like, I'll just do this since it's a long ways coming. And then stuff happened, and I ended up not doing it till now. So, yeah. I've been recording for 6 minutes, and I haven't even started to... Okay, so I will go into this. Okay, so I was a little torn about how to do this because I don't agree with Kevin Feige on one certain thing. It's when Phase 3, when Phase 2 ends and Phase 3 begins. So I think, and a lot of fans think, the phases should end with the Avenger movies. Like, Phase 1 ended with the Avengers. And Phase 2 started as the next movie, which would be Iron Man 3. You would think Phase 2 would end with Avengers Age of Ultron, but no. The next movie, Ant-Man, was the final movie of Phase 2. And I looked up to see if maybe I should just skip that movie and save that one for Phase 3, because I consider it Phase 3. A lot of people consider it Phase 3. But I decided, since it's officially in Phase 2, I'll just put it here. I looked up a video as an interview of him explaining, there's a very important reason why it's in Phase 2 and not Phase 3. And his reasoning is, it sets up a lot of things that we get to in Phase 3. So that should have been that would have been a really good introduction movie for Phase 3, since you've ended the story of Phase 2 and you start Phase 3. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I should not have talked about this yet because I haven't made it that far. um, so when I did the first Phase episode, I had watched all the Phase 1 movies in like 3 days. So they were fresh on my mind, and I was able to talk about them. Well, this time, since I was going to do it on Sunday, last Sunday, because it's Sunday now, but it's October 3rd. Wait, yeah, October. I keep getting October and August mixed up. Anyway, so I watched them over a week ago, so like they're not fresh in my mind, but they're fresher had I not watched them. Anyway, so the first movie of Phase 2, Iron Man 3. I am not speaking right today night because it's night. It is 10:39, August 3rd, 2021, Sunday, Pacific time, because San Francisco. Anyway, Iron Man 3. It actually is... Actually, seriously though, Iron Man 3 was the first time I realized, like, how intense they were getting with the series. Like, how, like, it's not just, here's a bunch of superhero movies. Because, we get Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and the Hulk and all these movies, and they're all cool. And then they get them together in the Avengers, and they're superheroing the day. And it's like, oh, that's all well and good. They're all come together. But then Iron Man 3 comes along, because in the Avengers, Tony Stark, I was going to say Tony Hawk. He's not in that. Tony Stark almost died in the Avengers. He basically carried a nuke through a black hole into space, and then fell back to Earth. And, you see stuff like that in action movies all the time, and they just walk away like it's no big deal. And at first he did, because whenever he wakes up, he's like, hey, I saw a swarm up place down the street, let's go there. And they make it into a big joke. But Iron Man 3, he has serious PTSD, nightmares, cold sweats, panic attacks. They really got the panic attacks down. Never got. I'd actually forgotten about that. The only thing I really remembered about Iron Man 3, no joke, I saw it in theaters. I saw it the one time in theaters, and it's the only time I saw it. The only thing I remembered was sometimes I say the wrong strawberry or whatever Jarvis said. I remember that. I remember Pepper Potts falling to her quote unquote death, and I remember the Iron Man suits exploding, and that's it. That's all I remembered. And something about a little kid, and he shows up in another movie. I'm not gonna get to that yet because that's way ahead, not even close to being there yet. And so watching this one again, I was it was really well done. I really should have done the episode last week because I don't remember that much. Again, I remember a lot more than I did. They do kind of call back to the very first episode. Wow. Very first Iron Man. Because I forgot the guy's name, but the guy in the cave who helped him escape. He was we met at a party long ago. You might not remember. And Tony was oh yeah, I don't remember. Well, they not only called back to that, they showed it. The movie begins back in '99, and you meet him. He literally meets Tony Stark. He's hey, I want to discuss something with you. Oh, that's good. Hold that thought. I'll be right back. And then he doesn't come back. It's that's the guy from the other movie. And so right off the bat, I thought that was really cool. And okay, so for the first two Iron Man movies, they began with AC/DC songs. There was Back in Black and then Shoot to Thrill. So I didn't remember what song it started with. I was like trying to remember what AC/DC song does it start with. Blue by Eiffel 65. So, not even close to an AC/DC song. So that was kind of funny. Kind of sets the mood because it is a funnier movie than the other two. I don't, I don't know. And then, okay, so the next movie is Thor: The Dark World, which that one and The Incredible Hulk had always been my least favorite MCU movies. I didn't get to watch Incredible Hulk whenever I see. I'm going entirely off of Disney Plus because that's what's available. I couldn't watch Incredible Hulk, and at the time I didn't care. I was like, oh well, too bad. Didn't like it anyway, and I think like it's because I didn't like it, I didn't bother looking for it. Uh, I almost skipped Thor: The Dark World because I also hated it as much as I hated the Incredible Hulk. Because like Hulk is good in like an ensemble movie, like with the Avengers or just with Thor and Ragnarok. But like in like a solo Hulk movie, it's always boring, and so like, I really didn't care to watch it. So I didn't actually look for it. But like if Iron Man wasn't on Disney Plus and I had to go to Paramount Plus because you know it was technically a Paramount movie, but if I probably would have not made the excuse. Oh, it's on Disney Plus. I probably would have gone and seen it. I'm sure the Incredible Hulk is available online somewhere. But now I kind of want to watch it again because I rewatched Thor: The Dark World for this, and I literally I literally rolled my eyes and went, "Let's get this over with." Yeah, it's nowhere near as bad as I remember. I actually really enjoyed it this time. I was so bored the first time I watched it, and like, because I try to watch Hulk movies. I try to watch Marvel movies as soon as they come out. I try to get my opinions in before it's influenced by everyone else's opinion. So like, everyone hated Thor: The Dark World, so I hate Thor: The Dark World too. No, no, I was bored by it, and I was thinking, oh, that's an unpopular opinion. Because like everyone's gonna love this movie because it's an MCU movie, but then like everyone else started saying they hated it. I was like, oh, okay, well then I guess that's a popular opinion. Well, now it's probably an unpopular opinion again to say I actually kind of like this movie. It's it's not my favorite MCU movie, but it's not my least favorite. It's actually really interesting. In fact, I think it's more of a retrospect thing because like you have like all the future movies looking back at this one to be like, oh, okay, I see what what they're going for, and especially like I heard people saying that um, Endgame actually kind of redeemed the Dark World, and it did in a way, uh, because like it does that. They go back in time, and they like kind of like a flashback scene where it goes to that movie, and I don't know. I think it is more of a retrospect thing, like looking back. Like we didn't know like what they were doing entirely with the series, and like now we do. So like looking at it now, it's different than watching it when it first came out, and it's actually a much better movie now than it was then, even though it's literally the same movie. And after that, it was Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Uh, this movie didn't really change much for me. It's exactly the way I remember it. However, the only thing that's different for me is I actually thought the Winter Soldier happened. I thought he was revealed earlier in the movie. It feels like you don't actually see like the scene whenever like he's introduced to Captain America and the Black Widow, to Stephen Natasha. Is when they're on the road and he's like slides or whatever on the road or whatever. I thought that was earlier in the movie. Oh, wait, that's not when he's introduced. He's on the roof and he catches the shield. that's still later in the movie than I thought it was. I was thinking that was like at the beginning. It's like I'm sitting there, like it finally happens, and I'm like, wait, when is this? And it's like halfway through the movie, and I'm like, wow, like they took so long to get to the Winter Soldier in the Winter Soldier, and I this to me was the first time I ever that I noticed that you can actually do more with a superhero movie than just be a superhero movie, because it's a superhero movie, but it's not a superhero movie. It's a spy thriller, which blew my mind because it's like, oh, you can do stuff with this genre instead of just one thing. We're what, 10 movies in at this point? Maybe not even that much. I don't know. But yeah, it was. And it wasn't even the first time that they changed the genre. Actually, the next movie in the series is probably the biggest leap they had done at that point. Guardians of the Galaxy. um, yeah, that when I first teased Guardians of the Galaxy, I was really confused. I obviously had never heard of them. A lot of people hadn't, and uh, yeah, I honestly, when Guardians of the Galaxy first came out, I was, I had heard that it wouldn't immediately tie into the MCU until later on. So I'm thinking this isn't important. It's not going to tie into anything. I'm just going to skip it. But then it came out, and like all my friends were like, "No, no, 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 don't skip it. Watch it. You need to watch it. Trust me, you need to watch this one." And I was like, "Fine, I'll watch it." I immediately did not regret watching it. It is one of my favorites in the series. Second one is probably my favorite of the two. Cannot wait to the third one. I'm glad they sorted that out, which I'll get to that whenever I do Phase 3. Now we're getting to Avengers Age of Ultron. I didn't remember much about this. It's like with Iron Man, I didn't remember much. The only thing I remembered was I remember the scene in the Avengers Tower whenever they're trying to lift the hammer, like they're messing around, like, hey, let's see if we can lift the hammer. No one can lift the hammer, and like Tony puts on his Iron Man glove and like tries to like use like the arc reactor or the pulse thing to, and it doesn't work. And I remember the scene when Ultron cuts off Andy Serkis's arm. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Which that was hilarious. It's like a villain who was actually apologizing for hurting someone. Which that's not a first. I've seen that before, but like it was funny. I also remember that there's no strings on me. I remember it being a bigger deal to the story than it ended up being. Whenever when he sings the song from Pinocchio, "I've got no strings on me," I remember that being like his theme song, and he's like always singing it in every scene. But then like I watched it last week, and he sings it like once. I don't know why it changed that much in my mind. And of course, this is the first time we're introduced to um I was gonna yawning. I was gonna say Natasha Romanoff, but that's Black Widow. This is the first time we're introduced to Wanda, whose last name is failing me at the moment, and it's kind of awkward because I was gonna say she's actually my favorite MCU character, and I can't remember her name. Hey Google, what's Wanda's last name?
Wanda Maximoff.
Maximoff. I love how Google knew who I was talking about. Yeah. So she, at this time she wasn't my favorite. I don't remember who my favorite was at the time. Whenever like this movie came out, because her and her brother Quicksilver, they started out as villains who turned on Ultron and became good guys. So like at the time they weren't really that big a deal to me. It's like, oh, it's new people, whatever. And so, but again with the retrospect thing, after seeing her in all the other Marvel movies and in her own show WandaVision, I go back and I see this her first appearance technically. um, Technically her first appearance was the post-credit scene of uh I want to say Winter Soldier, one of them. Um, but like this is her first official appearance, and I can see like they were setting her up to be like this really important, deep character, and even right from the beginning, like there's that scene where like she's freaking out and she's like, "I don't think I can do this," and Hawkeye's like, "Hey, you can do this. I know that you're not a bad person. You were just brainwashed by him, but if you don't want to do this fight, you can stay here. It's okay. We're not going to judge you. But if you step out that door, you're an Avenger and you got to fight." And then like 5 minutes later, because like it cuts from that to like some more action, and then it cuts back to the door, and she like it does like slow motion where she walks out, and then like it's like, oh, she's an Avenger now. When I first saw that, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But like knowing what I know about her character, I'm like, yes, this is the beginning. And she is like, okay. I think the moment she became my favorite character in the MCU when I again don't want to get ahead of myself here. I will just say in Endgame, there is a moment that you're probably thinking of right now that's referenced in WandaVision. That was like, whoa, okay, she's my favorite. And Captain Marvel was set up to be. I'll get to that in that episode. I closed Wikipedia, so let me open that up. So that should have been the end of Phase 2. But no. Ant-Man. So, Ant-Man and the second one, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I always forget they exist. They're like side stories in the MCU. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they were like straight to video movies. I know they're not, but like that's what they feel like. Like they're not as like important to the grand story per se as like Iron Man or Thor or whatever. But I mean, it is important to the story because that they introduce like the quantum realm and all that, and like Pym particles. So like it's it's important to the story for what they introduce, not for the story itself. It's more like a heist, which again, it's where they change genres. They do something besides just a standard superhero movie because he's a criminal and he can go to jail or he can be Ant-Man, and obviously he chose Ant-Man. He's fighting for his daughter, and yeah, and yeah, it's not that I don't like Ant-Man. It's they're good. They're fun movies. It's just uh they're like the I don't know how to word it. It's they're not that like wow. I think everyone knows what I mean because I think everyone has the same kind of opinion about Ant-Man they're smaller stories. They're not that important. They're not bad movies. There's just not. They don't seem to fit into the MCU, even though they do, but they don't. You know? But there was, let's see, there's something else that I don't know if Wikipedia talks about it. There it is. They call them short films here. The one-shots. There's only two. Oh, there's only two. Agent Carter, which I guess was later turned into the show, which I didn't see this one shot. I knew it existed, but my main interest, I think the most important one shot of all time, at least of the whole MCU, was All Hail the King, which it turns out in Iron Man 3 that there's the Mandarin, and he's in the comics he's like Iron Man's Joker. He's like the he's his main villain throughout the whole comic strip series. I don't really do comics. All I know about comics I get from like YouTube channels and my friends who are comic fans. So yeah. But when Iron Man 3 came out, I know everyone was like, oh, that's his biggest enemy. This is going to be big. And then when it turns out that the guy who was the Mandarin he was an actor, and he wasn't the real Mandela. I was afraid I was going to do that. But yeah, I guess Marvel noticed that a lot of people were upset about that reveal. So they did this one shot to reveal that the Mandarin existed in the MCU. They just didn't show him. It's like, I'd heard about it. I'd never seen it till now. It's on Disney Plus, and it's actually really interesting because it's showing him he's in prison, and he's enjoying the high life in prison, where he's got a very comfortable cell and everything, and then this Ten Rings guy comes in, and he's like, hey, the Mandarin doesn't appreciate you taking his identity. The Mandarin, he's real? I was like, yes, he's real. And he doesn't appreciate... Yeah, I was like, what? And they're setting up something in the future. And, this is how far ahead Marvel thinks, because you would think with them doing that, it would have been in Phase 3 that they reveal the real Mandarin, especially since Iron Man was still alive. Spoiler. But I haven't seen it yet. It's the only MCU movie I have yet to see because it just came out. But apparently, it's literally in the name, Shang-Chi and I think it's Legend of the Ten Rings. It's either that or just the Ten Rings. Hey Google. Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a
Yeah.
2021
Legend of the Ten Rings. But apparently the Mandarin is in there, the real Mandarin. And the Ten Rings is the terrorist organization that kidnapped Tony Stark in the first movie. So yeah, they take up their time with some of this buildup. Of course, they didn't plan that. Okay, in 15 years we're gonna do this. I don't think it's been 15 years. That was in 2007, I think. Hey Google, when did Iron Man come out?
In the United States of America, Iron Man was released on May 2nd, 2008.
Oh. Hey Google, how long ago was that?
In the United States of America, it was released on May 2nd, 2008.
not what I was. It was a while ago. I'm not good at mathing, but I don't think they planned that far ahead. Like when they made the first Iron Man, they're like, "All right, we're gonna do all these movies and then do this in 2021." I know they plan way in advance. I don't think they plan that far in advance, but I still think it's cool that they're able to bring this all back. And honestly, all right, let's see. Let's open Wikipedia again and see. No. Oh, I tapped on the wrong app. Let's see. There are video games for each of the games here. I think I just said games. Oh. It says, I misread this at first. It says Chris Evans makes a cameo appearance in Thor: The Dark World as Loki. And I was like, wow, I don't remember that. Masquerading as Captain America. Oh yeah, I remember that. See, I should probably have taken notes because there's a lot of things I remember like as I'm going. Like I went back and talked about Iron Man 3. I'm looking at the page for one shots. Let's see. There, apparently there was only 5 one-shots. All I held the king being the last one. So, yeah. Why is there only that many? That's weird. Anyway. Wait. Potential projects. There was others that they were planning. There was one called Team Thor. What's that? Let's see. Team Thor is a series of American direct-to-video mockumentary short films produced by Marvel Studios, featuring characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, released from 2016 and 2018. That follows Thor during the events of Civil War, so I probably shouldn't be talking about this yet. Which is good that it hasn't happened yet, because I didn't miss it. Technically it's a Phase 3 thing, so I can watch it when I watch Phase 3, which I don't know when that'll be. I have a 4-part series coming up that I've been planning. And considering how long it's taking me to do this 3-part, and I'm still just doing the second one right now, I don't know how long it's going to take me to do the 4-parter. I could probably do it in one, but yeah, it involves making lists, and so far there's 3 lists, and the reason it's going to be a 4-parter is because one of the lists is really long. I'm going to have to make that into a part 2. So, like, it's not technically a 4-parter, but it kind of is because they're all kind of related. I don't want to say what it is now. I've learned the hard way not to announce episodes in advance, because there was one time I said, my next episode will be this, but then, like, I scrapped that idea and did something else, and I had to explain at the beginning of the next episode, like, oh, the reason I didn't do that is because of this, and I don't even remember. Oh, one thing I was going to do in relation to the anniversary thing was, because you notice this is episode 45, I think. Let me look. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. Alright, let's see. Loading. Yeah. My last episode was almost a month ago. 9/11, episode 44. So this is 45. So I was planning on doing 6 episodes before the 26th, the 1 year. Because I wanted the 1 year to be... I keep yawning. And I'm too lazy to edit, so I'm just doing this. I'm doing my own one shot. Ha! Crap, what was I talking about? It is late. Wait, it's only 11:09. I am old. Crap, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. I wanted the 1 year anniversary post to be the 50th episode. And that didn't happen because that was a week ago and this is episode 45. And, yeah. But I do know what I want the 50th episode to be now that, that didn't, what my original plan didn't happen. I know what the 50th episode, crap. I know what the 50th episode's going to be, or at least I know what I want it to be because... yeah, so if there's anything this whole anniversary thing that's, well, I mean, I already knew this, but if there's one thing that it's taught me is don't say, oh, I know what this is going to be about, because it likely isn't going to happen. And that's just life in general. I don't plan too far ahead because, well, to quote Harry Potter, we plan, we get there, all hell breaks loose. So, like, I mean, I do make plans. I mean, I made the mistake of telling somebody once, oh, I never plan ahead. And they took it literally. I mean, I do plan ahead. I just don't, like, whenever, like, people are like, what are you planning your life to be like in 5 years? I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like next week. Because like I said, you make plans, and then stuff happens. I've had to like redo future plans a million times to the point where I'm like, whatever happens, happens. Yeah, I got off topic there. Well, I mean, the name of the show is The Digressor, and I just digressed. So I just justified the name of the show. How long have I been recording? 41 minutes. Okay, that makes enough time for a full episode. And it is 11:11. Yeah, okay, so I'm probably just gonna end this here. Slap the logo. No, slap the theme song on it. Theme music, because it's not a song, there's no lyrics. And then, post it. And then tweet, oh, never mind, I did an episode after all. After tweeting, I guess it's on... Oh, yeah, because if you saw my tweet earlier, I said, guess my show's on hiatus. And then, like, 4 hours later, I'll be posting going, hey, guess not. Really quickly, though, before I end this, I want to say that on Steam, Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition is currently $5. That's, like, one of my favorite games. So, I bought it. And while this uploads, guess what I'll be doing? Probably watching Fresh Prince or something. But hey, I have Ori if I want to play it. Anyway, have a good